Yep, we will rock you. Welcome to live maths this morning, and we're doing percentage change and reverse percentages. That was Queen. So, without further ado, a few good mornings. So, good morning to Lydia, Alfie and Dylan. Great to see you on board again. Fantastic turnout. And to all those listeners and viewers who join us later, welcome to you guys. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at two topics: percentage change and reverse percentages. Both kind of linked. They're extending percentages, but they're not as easy as the other percentages that we have done. So it does require a little bit of careful listening today. I think they're both straightforward, but people do find these more tricky. Okay, so just to recap what we've done so far, and go back and look at my videos if you're stuck on these. We've looked at percentages without a calculator, we've looked at percentages with a calculator, and we've also looked at increasing a value by a percentage or decreasing a value by a percentage. Okay, when we decrease it, it's in the category, well, say you're talking about money, decreasing would be in the form of discount, and then if you're increasing things, usually it's to do with interest. So that's the previous lessons. So let's get going. So the first part of this is two parts. Hopefully we'll get them in. I don't want to rush it though. So if we have to use a bit of this time on Monday, then that's fine. Because if we rush it and you haven't understood it, there's no point. So let's see how far we can get on this task today. So first of all, looking at percentage change. Okay, so what I want you to think about now is prices of items. Anything. PCs, computers, Xboxes, cars, whatever it is. So these prices, they never stay the same. From day to day, the value goes up, goes down, it always changes. And it very much depends on what item you've got. Some items go up, some items go down, some items stay the same for a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks, but eventually it'll move up or down. So a good example of a value that goes up in price, there are some houses that go down, but a house, in general, houses go up in value. Okay. Now, an item where it goes down in value is one of these mobile phones. Okay, because they go out of date so quickly. Now, this one I've got, iPhone 7 Plus, done me great so far. I know it's got a chunky case, but it's not worth as much money as I paid for it. Okay, so I've had that 6 months. Okay, and it's certainly not worth as much money as it was. Take switches. Here's an interesting one. Switch. It remained constant for 3 years. Came out about 3 to 4 years ago. £300. Price of it now, £300. And interestingly, they've gone up over the lockdown because you can't get them. So if you sell a switch now second hand, you're probably going to make more money out of it. Okay, most electronics though do go down. After the lockdown, I'd imagine switches going down in price a little bit. Okay, so certain things go up, certain things go down, depending on what the value is. Cycles, cars, bikes and cars and things like that usually go down in price unless they're a collector's version, a collector's car. But nothing remains the same. So we're going to look at measuring that price difference, how much it's gone up and down in terms of a percentage. Okay, so straightforward. We're going to do two examples, one thing that goes up, one item that goes up, one item that goes down. Now, to do this topic, we need this formula. There's no other way around it. So we talk about percentage change. How much something has gone up or down in terms of a percentage. We need to use this formula. And what we do is we find the difference of the two values, the starting value and the end value, divide it by the original price and multiply it by 100. So let me explain these parts. So original price speaks for itself. That's the price at the start. And this is really important. The price at the start is always 100%. So that's why we're using that in this formula. We're not using the price, the current price. What the original price was is 100. The difference, the amount it's changed, is the numerator. Okay, so we've made a fraction here. So the fraction of what the difference is compared to the original. And then the 100 is used to turn it back into a percentage. Now textbooks you often see, this is exactly the same thing, different way of writing it. So they use the word change. Okay, so it's the same formula, it's just in different textbooks, different websites, slightly different word at the top. Okay, so first example, alright, so you often use this, okay, road bike, which is my current favourite cycling at the moment, although I come from a mountain biking background. It's just easier for me in the lockdown. Those of you mountain biking, well done to you, but be careful with the lockdown. Llandegla, brilliant place. Okay, so my road bike. Okay, so the road bike. This isn't mine, but I do know of a value. I'll keep an eye on them. So this is entry level road bike, £650, quite expensive. Okay, so that was bought. That was the original price. So after a year, okay, 1 year on, the original price is £650. So 1 year on, it's now worth £500. It's gone down in price. Now, you might think that's unfair, but if you've had 12 months of use out of it and had a really good time with it and visited people, it's not bad value, £150 for a year's worth of travel. So, you've got to think about that sort of thing as well. Alright, so how do we work out the percentage change here? We find the difference between the original, which is 100% of the value. Original is always 100% of the value, compared to the price a year on or in some sort of time difference. So it's 150 is the difference. Don't worry about positives, pluses and minuses here. It's always plus for this value. It's the difference means biggest minus smallest. So that's 150. So I'm going to use this formula here. The difference, 150, divided by, or out of, the original price, which is £650, multiplied by 100 to turn it back into a percentage. Now, most of these questions, to be fair, are calculator ones, so we can put that straight in the calculator. 150 out of 650 times by 100. So use that button there. It's a nice little button to use to get the fraction on. You could do 150 divided by 650 to give you the same answer. Press equals standard number to decimal, so that's 23.07. So rounding, look at that 6 there, that means that 7's going to 8. And in pounds and pence, we're talking, sorry, no, this is percentages, isn't it? So actually, I'm going to stick to the nearest percentage here, 23. Alright, that 0 is not going to change that. So I'm going to write 23%. Generally, in percentages, you don't normally have loads of decimals, because then you're mixing decimals with percentages up. So one decimal is usually enough, or even to the nearest percentage. So 23% is the price difference. It's gone down by 23%. Okay, let's take another example. Okay, so Mr. D's watercolour. I haven't done any watercolours for a long time, but I used to enjoy doing a few of these. So I sold one of these for £60. I never managed to sell one, but just suppose I did. £60. Okay, so in 3 years' time, now for this topic, this 3 years can sometimes throw you. Think about it. Do I need that? Does it matter how long? Okay, this was 1 year. Did I use the 1 year? No. But sometimes with maths questions you do need the time aspect. But in this it doesn't really matter how long. So in 3 years' time, okay, it was sold for 105. Oh, by the way, sometimes useful to say whether it's increased or decreased. So the road bike decreased, so that's 23% decrease in value. Okay, because we're doing the reverse now. Okay, sorry, £105, not percentage. So Mr. D's watercolour, bought for 60. After 3 years, the guy who bought it thinks, wow, this is amazing, I'm going to make some money out of this. So I sold it for a profit. Okay, ignore that little splodge, sorry about that. Right, so back to our formula. Okay, the difference, I prefer that one to that one, so using that one, difference over original. So work out the difference here. So counting on from 60 to 100 is 45. The difference is 45. 105 take away 60, 45. Out of the original, £60, and then turn it into a percentage with the times by 100. So on the calculator, and that gives me 75%. So it's increased in value by 75%. Not a bad profit at all. Okay. Now, something else to bear in mind with these increases. Usually, you can only have a percentage between 0 to 100. Okay, because you go past 100, then it doesn't make much sense. But you can, on this sort of problem, on this sort of question, you can go over 100%. Because if the increase is doubled in price, okay, it's gone up by 100%, it starts at 100% and goes up by 100%. Okay, so it's gone up by 100% increase. So when we talk about percentages in this case over 100, it means it's doubled or tripled in price, or quadrupled, or gone much higher than the doubled, or even more than that. So it depends on the context. Usually percentages have to be between 0 and 100. So take probability for example. But in this case, you can have percentages over 100. Okay, so that's part 1 of today's lesson done. Okay, you might want to look this up a little bit, but just recapping, it's quite easy to do. The most important thing is to remember this formula. Without that, it's quite tricky to do. You get lost. That formula is the key, and once you've remembered that difference over original times 100, it's pretty easy really to remember that, but without it, these are very difficult to work out. Once you've got that in your head, find the difference, divide it by the original, times 100 on the calculator, boom, done. Okay, easy if you remember that. Trying to do it without that formula, you're probably going to go wrong. Right, on to the next bit. Okay, so I've got a question for you. Reverse percentages. Okay, so this is from basically a task. Okay, I'm just folding it up because it's got more to it than that. Alright, so there's our question, reverse percentages. So let's have a look at this question. Find the original cost of a pair of shoes if the price has increased by 40% and the cost is now £28. So we may need a little bit of extra work on this, or even just a recap on Monday. But let's have a look at this question. Now the key to all of these reverse percentages is one fact, and that fact is that the original price, I've already mentioned this, the original price is always worth 100%. Now that's the key. Just like that other formula on how to work out the percentage increase decrease, that bit is the important bit. So if we know the original price is 100%, okay, when we're looking at this question here, okay, this £28 is the price after it's increased. So that's not 100%. It's going to be more than 100% because the original's 100% and now it's worth more. So I want you to type in how many percent you think that £28 is worth, given that it's gone up by 40 and given the original was 100. Okay, answers in the comment box, please. Okay, let's have a think to see if we can get that right. Let's have a look. Brilliant. Okay, that's fantastic. Oh, welcome to Miss Tompkins this morning. You're very welcome to come along. So 140%, we've all got that right. Fantastic. Okay, brillianty stuff. Okay, well done, and nice to see you, Georgia, this morning. Okay, fantastic. So, that's where we start with then. 140%. Now, those of you that watched the work without a calculator, this is now related to that, because our goal is to find the original price, and our goal is to get to 100%, one way or the other. Okay, so here's a little clue. We notice that 140 and 28, 14 and 28, they're linked. They are linked. So what we can do here is we can find 1%. Okay, so to find, if 140 is worth 28, 1% is going to be 28 shared by 140. So let's just go through that again. 140% are worth 28. So 1% is 28 shared by the 140. Okay, that's the key to it. And once we've got 1%, we go. There's other things we could do. We could do 70%. We could do 10% and work our way that way. I will show you that as well. Okay, so let's do that on the calculator. 28 divided by 140. Okay. That gives us 0.2 or 20 pence. Okay, so that's 1%. All right, and we want 100%. So answers, please, can you send them through on the comment bank? What would 100% be? Ding, diddle, diddle, diddle. Those of you over my age may remember that tune from Vision On, which was a kids' TV programme. And I believe it was Tony Hart who was the guy who was doing it. Okay, so any answers coming through now? Yes, we've got £20. Good morning, Heath. Good to see you this morning. What a star. 20 quid. Yeah. So there we go. We times by 100. Remember what I said about timesing by 100. It's not stick noughts on. It's moving that to two places. £2, £20. Okay, there we go. So let's just finish off to see if we can do that question without a calculator. So 140% is 28. Okay. Let's have a look now. So we want to get to, we'll do it in a similar way, but we're doing it, so instead of going to what for 1% first, we're going to 10%. So if I was trying to find 10% of something, of 140%, what I'd do is divide 140 by 14. That gives me 10. Okay, if you're not sure, whack it on here. 140 divided by 14 equals 10. There we go. So if I divide the 140 by 14, because we've got an equals part there, we treat these like equations. What you do to one side, you've got to do to the other, and all that palaver. Got to divide that side by 14 too. So what I decided to do is make 10% by dividing this whole thing by 14. Balance it up, divide that by 14, we get 2. Okay, so quite easily done really in this case. So 100% is going to be a factor of 10 more than 2. So we slide it along one place. Okay, £20. So there we go. Brilliant. 2 really important topics done this morning. You might want to do a little bit of follow-up to this. It's an important one. And I think the most important thing about this original price question is that you can get caught out at GCSE. People just think, oh, it's 140, okay, so I'll find 140 or 28 and add it on. And that's going back to the discount and interest sort of things. So this is slightly, well, it's quite different really. Remember, the key to this is 100%. So quick recap, and then we're done. Okay, so going back to our learning objectives, percentage change and reverse percentages, okay, is what we were looking at. So key thing for the percentage change is this formula, difference over original times 100. Remember that, and away you go. Everything's easy. And the important thing to remember for reverse percentages is to remember that the original price is always 100%, and from there, if you can make this sort of look at the percentage needed. So look at your question, it's gone up, so it's not 100%, it's 140%, add it on. If it's gone down, take it off, match them up, and then work until you get back to 100%, which is the original price. Once you've got that first line set up, it's fairly straightforward. So that's it for today, folks. Remember to follow up all your work on Google Classrooms for your maths. Some people are a little bit behind, but nobody on this group. Okay, but remember to do that. Bank holiday Friday tomorrow, it's instead of the Monday. So the next one will be Monday. Just for the date purposes, that's Monday the 11th. Okay, so no live maths tomorrow. Okay, I'm having a day off. It's a bank holiday, so I'm going to have a day off myself. So maybe you should have a lovely weekend, and I'll leave you with a bit of Queen, and We Will Rock You.